Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, PhD, host of Healthline. Tune in to get your questions answered and hear the latest breakthrough information for you and your family. Our product line, Quantum Nutrition Labs, delivers what others only promise, nutrition that really works.
KCAA, where every day is a great day.
Oh yeah, you're tuning in to the hottest show, the SoCal Boxing Report on 102.3 and 106.5 FM on KCAA.
SoCal Boxing, SoCal Boxing, Boxing Report.
You tuning in?
Boxing Report.
Furious like Pacquiao with De La Hoya left foot, but funny like the motto metal pious. Take a second look, relentless like Salvador Sanchez and Johnny Tapia. Hard to hit like Witty, converge from Verge Mafia.
So now they're taking you, making you, never faking you. Heart like Holyfield, but like a Tyson punch, they're breaking you. Like the first fight of Eric Morales and Barrera. They're running in the race to win it in Spanish Carrera.
So make sure that you listen every Sunday on the hour. They're climbing up the ranks with that George Foreman power. So while the competition bobs and weaves the punches, like Sugar Ray Leonard, they're coming quick and in bunches.
Like Bernard Hopkins, determination and longevity. I'll take this opportunity to plug random comedy, known as Chulo in the music industry. From Pomona, much respect to Shane Mosley.
SoCal Boxing, SoCal Boxing, Boxing Report, Boxing Report. SoCal Boxing, SoCal Boxing, Boxing Report, Boxing Report.
This is the SoCal Boxing Report, and this is Anthony Stack Saldana with my hosts, Amazing Eric and Danny Z.
Hey.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? Big week in boxing.
Huge.
Hey, we've had a lot of big weeks the last couple months.
You know, it's been a
Pretty
really
solid.
good last month for boxing. I've enjoyed this.
It was real big, and it started off Monday. You know, Sunday on our last show, we were sitting here and we were talking about the bad meat. Hashtag bad meat.
Hey, we called it.
We did. We were
We
like,
called it.
We spoke prophetically with that when we said that. Hashtag bad meat. Tell them what that. Why don't you tell them what hashtag bad meat?
Man, okay. So we were talking about Louis Neri.
Yeah.
And you know what? Before I get into the hashtag bad meat, there was some big news coming out of Japan.
Oh.
Louis Neri has been banned for the rest of his life out of Japan.
That's huge.
Crazy.
That's
he can
huge.
no longer fight in Japan.
That's
so
huge.
so the JBC, the Japanese Boxing Council, took a vote and they decided that's it. He's done. We don't want him back in Japan.
Wow.
I guess because of not just beating Neri, but beating Yamanaka, but forcing Yamanaka into retirement. They took it personal and they
That's one of theirs, and they're like,
that's
you
what I
put
felt
one
like.
of our guys in retirement. Get
That's
out
what
of
I
here.
felt like.
get
I
out
felt
of here
like
and
they had a
don't
little
ever
bit
come
personal
back.
to it.
You can keep your hashtag bad meat and TJ.
Bad meat.
Man. Yeah, so we were talking about that, man. We were clowning Neri about the bad meat. We talked about Francisco Vargas, and the very next day,
What a coincidence.
what a coincidence, Canelo Saul Alvarez tests positive or has trace amounts of clenbuterol in his blood. What do you guys think about that, man?
I think it's like, for me, like you said, the irony is crazy. The fact that we had just talked about it the day before. You heard it here first again.
SoCal Boxing Report.
Bad meat, SoCal Boxing Report. We started it first. But, you know, I wanted to come today and get you guys to kind of school me and school some of the people on this, because I'm hearing today that it was a diuretic. And this is the question I wanted to bring forth to the people at home. Jump in, call on the radio, talk to us on Facebook Live. Do you guys feel different? This is a question for both of you. If a guy tests positive for a diuretic, does that in some way absolve him or let him off the hook if it's not a strength builder, if he's not trying to bulk up, if he's just trying to lose weight, if that's the basis of it?
It's, to me, it's still cheating if he did it.
Oh.
Okay?
I agree.
Because here's the thing, man. If you got to take something to cut weight, that much weight, it's still cheating. Now, I could go to TJ and eat all the carne asada tacos I want, but that's not going to make me a world champion,
Damn.
bro. It's not, man.
Talk about it, Stacks. Talk
Damn.
about it.
But here's the thing.
Making me hungry now.
When you fight twice a year, you fight Cinco de Mayo weekend and you fight September 16th weekend,
You know what the cycle is.
you know what the cycle is.
You know the
Exactly.
cycle.
You know when to cycle. Come on now.
What
I
about
mean,
you, man?
I like Canelo.
Me too.
I do.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna know if he was or he wasn't. Golden Boy got out ahead of it at the beginning. They put out a statement, and then and they said that the traces that were found is within the consistent form of the meat that's contaminated in Mexico. I don't know. There's always going to be question marks, but it's just going to make Canelo a bigger star. It's just publicity. People love drama.
But he tested positive twice. It wasn't just one test. It was 2 tests in February. I think
Yeah.
one was like the 13th, one was the 21st.
That's
but
true.
It was 2 tests in February right after they announced the fight. He had trace amounts. So I'm thinking when a fighter fights, it's usually an 8-week camp. And he probably figured I got a couple more weeks to cycle it out of my system. And Vada went and they popped his ass.
Yeah.
And now he's heading to Colorado to go train up in the Mile High, elevation up there. So, we'll see what happens. Canelo's a great boxer, don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
And like I said, man, I mean, I can eat all the tacos, all the beef from Mexico I want. You can eat it. It's not going to make us a world champion. He's still got to train. He's still got to have those skills to stand toe-to-toe with Gennady Golovkin, with Triple G. So, I mean, there's got to be some other stuff to cut weight, though.
Yeah, and I want to throw it to our...
If he did it.
Yeah, if he did. If, allegedly. We're not
O.J.
blaming
Simpson,
anything.
if
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah, if I did it. I think that TV show's coming on next week or something. But, people, if you're there and you're checking us out on Facebook Live and you're talking about that, just jump in the comment section and write truth or lie. We just want to know what you think. Do you think Canelo's telling the truth? Was this bad meat? Or do you feel like he was trying to cheat? Drop a comment. Just drop that in there and let us know what you think. But I think it boils down to like we all are saying. It depends on if you're a fan of the guy. You know how boxing is.
Right.
If you're a Canelo fan, you're going to say it's bad meat. It's bad meat. If you're a person who was a Canelo hater, you're going to say, this is it. This shows you Canelo's always been a cheater. At least that's what I've been observing through different YouTube pages, Instagram posts. It seems like wherever a person stood before this happened, it's kind of where they still stand now.
Right.
Man, you go to social media and you got 100,000 lawyers
So
defending
many people.
Canelo, man.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, man.
They all become
Crazy.
scientists
Boxing,
overnight.
boxing attorneys and
That's
everything.
right.
Boxing
breaking it all
attorneys,
the way
scientists,
down.
they know they break down everything. They Google it, so they know, man. If it's on the web, it's got to be true, bro.
That's what it's got to be. It's
But
on
the internet said it.
The internet stacks. Do you think that this is actually going to help the pay-per-view numbers? Because some people
Yes.
say that this
Oh,
is
yeah.
actually
Yes.
going to help.
Oh,
What do you
yeah.
guys think about that?
Yes.
Yeah, the controversy.
Yes, man.
there.
And Triple G is only getting bigger, man. Too bad he's 36 years old already, but I mean, he's becoming more and more of a superstar in the United States. Seriously, I mean, him and Canelo are the face of boxing.
Yeah.
They're at the top of the mountain, and everybody else is not even halfway there. And I don't care if you're Mikey Garcia, Terrence Crawford, Deontay Wilder. They are not at that level yet. You can walk down the street and ask any person, hey, do you know who Terrence Crawford is? Do you know who Deontay Wilder is? They're probably going to say no.
Right.
You
Unless
ask him
they're
who
boxing.
Canelo is. Oh, yeah, he's the one making the carne asada videos with Sly Stallone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Hey,
where
I
they
was
cross
dying
over.
when people were memeing
Yeah.
after the news and they were memeing that. Oh,
And that's
man.
where they cross over. When we say that, it's like, and if you're out there and you're a Terrence Crawford guy and stuff, nobody's saying, my man Stacks wasn't saying he wasn't a star. He wasn't saying Deontay Wilder. I got to
Canelo's a bigger star, man.
But you're just saying in casual people
Yes.
outside of us boxing heads. Of course, we know Deontay Wilder, Terrence Crawford, but you can walk up to we can just go across the street into the strip mall right across the street and start asking about Canelo. People know Floyd was like that. Floyd's gone. That's
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, let's move on, man.
Let's move on, man.
Yeah, we had some big fights, man. Some Golden Boy fights Friday night.
Oh yes.
Costa Mesa, Orange
Costa
County,
Mesa,
California.
Orange County, man.
Yeah.
You had the two brothers, Ronnie Rios and Alexis Rocha, right in their backyard in front of
Yeah.
the hometown crowd. It was sold out. It was packed. It was loud.
On ESPN.
On ESPN, Mari Cornejo was on that card as well.
Yeah, she got TV time too.
Yeah, she got a little TV time.
because Lex handled his business so fast. She
Yeah,
got-
and not just that, man, but there was a guy there. I don't know his name, and he was supposed to fight Aaron McKenna. And the reason I don't know his name is because the commission didn't know his name. This
Oh, my
dude
goodness.
snuck across the border with his brother's passport.
I think they're twins, aren't
They're
they?
twins, right?
They're twin
Yeah,
brothers.
So he gets there, he shows his passport, and then he shows his boxing license, 2 different names or whatnot. They don't know who this character is.
Oh my goodness.
So they had to cancel Aaron McKenna's fight. So maybe we'll see that Irish prospect that was signed by Golden Boy pretty soon, man. So
Yeah.
shout out to Aaron McKenna. Then you had Mari Cornejo, of course.
Mhm.
She did her thing. She fought, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
she
fight.
did it.
That fight
I mean,
was
she was a
funny,
favorite.
but
She
let's
was
be
obviously
real.
she
the
was
favorite.
supposed to win.
She was supposed to win.
I gotta ask you
so-
guys a question. And first of all, we respect all fighters, men, anybody who climbs through those rings So much respect. You guys are like warriors and superheroes to me. But I have never witnessed a fight to where the fighter starts yelling to the referee to stop. Mari lands that right hand. Her opponent starts yelling to the ref, "Stop it, stop it."
I
she
saw
was
that.
actually
Yeah.
saying, have you ever seen that before? She was actually yelling. And Mari says when they break up the fight, you hear Mari tell her, "I heard you saying stop it." So that's why I pulled back, because she was yelling to the ref to stop it. I've never, ever seen it.
It is what it is,
Yeah.
you know, and life goes on.
Life goes on. Shout out to Lex, though. Lex
Man,
did his
Lex.
thing.
Yeah,
Shout
let's
out
go,
to
let's go to
co-main
Alexis'
event.
Talk
fight.
about Lex,
Man.
yeah.
Alexis Rocha, man.
You know, you guys got
Going-
a home here. Lex,
Beast.
shout out to you, bro.
He was
Yeah.
going up
Santa Ana.
for the WBC Continental Americas title.
Right.
You know, welterweight kid out of Orange County.
Yeah.
And he was taking on Miguel Dumas. Now, this guy wasn't no pushover, man. 10-1, okay, with 7 knockouts. So the kid had a good record. You know, came in and Lex just destroyed him,
Ooh,
man.
gosh.
He dropped him. He dropped him with a left cross.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the kid beat the count. Then he put him up against the ropes and just caught him with a big 3-piece, man. Started with an
Huge.
uppercut
That uppercut was
and
so
followed
sweet.
with 2 solid left hooks. That kid was out cold before he even hit the ground, man. His head
Yeah.
bounced on that canvas,
Yeah.
and he was out. The official waved it off.
Lex outclassed him.
Yeah. My dad had an
Nasty.
old saying in boxing where he used to say a guy got knocked out, then he fell. Meaning like he actually got knocked out first and then he fell. That happened in Lex fight.
They have a question, man.
Okay.
Sal Carrillo says, "Did Marty Cornejo fight Marsha Brady?"
Wait, who said that? Who said that?
One of our Facebook followers, Mr. Boxing Guru,
Mr.
wanted to know
Boxing
if that
Guru.
was Marsha
Auction
Brady.
rundown.
Come on, man.
Hey, but since he brought it up, let's talk about that. I mean, you know, there was photos that they
Yeah,
took
there
of
was.
both of her at the weigh-ins and stuff,
Yeah.
and you know, there was fans talking like, "Hey, this lady doesn't look like even like a fighter and stuff." And
Yeah.
it's with social media now. Everybody has an opinion.
They-
Quick, yeah.
And they are brutal, man.
They're brutal.
Yeah.
You know,
brutal.
somebody had actually made a comment that she lived next door to him in South Carolina, and that was the leader of their neighborhood watch program because she was so tough.
Y'all wrong for this, man. Y'all are wrong.
Yeah, man. Some people went crazy with
Yeah.
these opinions, but I'm
I
not
was
gonna
kinda
lie.
crazy.
Some of them were pretty funny.
It's one of those things to where you know you shouldn't laugh, but you actually still kind of laugh. So
But at least she did what she was supposed to. Got the win.
Yeah,
She got the win, and that new logo that she just came out with, I like it.
Yeah.
Nice
It's
logo.
It's a nice logo. I like
Yeah.
it.
All right, now
Absolutely.
back to Lex, man.
Yeah, let's get back to my man.
What would you guys think of that, man?
I thought Lex, you know, I'm super proud. Of course, you guys, if you don't know, I think you can go back in history. We just had Lex and Ronnie here, SoCal Boxing Report. We had them right here, sitting right here. You can go back and check that out on our page. Lex, I was just so happy for him. I thought he came in, to me, he almost seemed like he was wound up in a good way.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm not saying Lex is Mike Tyson, but you remember Mike Tyson would just be ready to shoot off when the bell rang? He had that vibe about him. And right when the bell rang, he just got to work, and he just did a beautiful job. What did you think, Danny Z?
I agree with everything you said. I mean, you know, of course, because we had them on like a couple weeks beforehand, and we appreciate that. Shout out to Ronnie Rios and Lex over there, and you know, it didn't surprise me that he completely did his thing.
Yeah.
You know, he went in there and he showed his discipline and he showed the train that he had,
Yeah.
and just like, man,
He was ready.
I don't think we expected that he was gonna
Not that fast. Yeah.
like dominate. We knew he was gonna, you know, obviously be the favorite and win, but
Yeah.
man, he killed it. He killed it.
He surprised me with that. You surprised me with that one, Lex. You surprised me with that one in a good way, though. In a good way.
And then in the main event, man, you had Ronnie Rios
Yeah.
going up against Crazy 8, Azad Hovazian out of Glendale, California, man.
Trained by Freddie Roach.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it was actually his first fight under Freddie.
Yeah,
First one.
that's
First
big.
fight under Freddie Roach, man. And Freddie's always been the type of trainer that has his fighters coming forward. He's a very offensive-minded trainer.
He is.
If you look at his fighters, man, you don't really see a lot of boxers.
Mm-hmm.
You see guys that come forward, and that's what it was, man. From the opening bell, these two never took a step backwards, and they just went at it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying Crazy 8 had the power to do what he did, but it was just an accumulation of punches.
That's what I thought it was.
You know, they were tagging each other for the first 2 rounds. Then at the end of the third, he caught Ronnie and put Ronnie into the ropes and just kept wailing away.
Crazy 8 style. He just went off on him.
And I was sitting there and watching, and I was waiting for Jack Reese to step in and stop the fight at the end of the third because of the punishment that Rios was taking. And Rios wobbled back to his corner, and he was out on his feet. I mean, he
Yeah.
didn't even make it
was
like back
bad.
to his
Yeah,
corner.
real bad.
And when he sat down, you know,
And then he had the headbutt with the Hassan
Yeah.
Rockman.
Oh,
knot
man,
on
the
his head.
hematoma?
yeah, it was the
Hematoma?
the next round, the 4th round.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He was
man.
headbutting. He had that
It was brutal,
hematoma.
man.
You know, so I mean, it's just like, how much punishment can you take in a fight?
Yeah.
You know, he kind of got his wits back, you know, about himself the 5th round.
Until the first shot landed.
Yeah.
And right when he got hit with that first shot, it went right back. You know.
Yeah, and then in the 6th, he got dropped again in the 6th.
Yeah.
And I personally believe they should have called the fight then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was tough, man. He got up like the warrior is, and he took
True
more
warrior.
punishment and took more punishment, and then Jack Reese finally
He
stepped
was like,
in.
yeah, he was like, this is over.
What do you guys
Yeah.
think? This is a question for you at home. You checking this out, Facebook. You can guys hit us up, 888-909-1050 if you want to holler at us. Get on the line, call in. But what do you guys think? First of all, shout out to Ronnie. You fought like a warrior. That's my dude. That's my guy, Ronnie Rio.
He'll
Shout
bounce
out to
back.
Ronnie. You'll be back. True warrior. You fought like a warrior. But have you guys ever noticed in boxing? I remember this happening with the boxing match between Holly Holm and Anne-Sophie Mathis. There's another match that escapes me right now. But whenever there's a hometown fighter there, that referee does not want to stop that fight. If you ever, it's like you could tell Jack Reese, and if you know Jack Reese, like we've all watched, he usually
Right.
would have stopped the fight by then. But he was almost begging Ronnie, you know, to come back. And like,
Right.
and people get upset with the ref. But you guys know when you're in that atmosphere, the referee can feel that everybody's there for that fighter.
Right.
So it's like the last thing the ref wants to do is call the fight. And I felt like Jack was kind of caught up in that a little bit with Ronnie because everybody was there for Ronnie. It was his show basically, and I think he might have let it go on a little bit too long because me being a fan of Ronnie, I was kind of like, call it, because I want to see him come back. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
those last 10 punches, I felt like he didn't have to take those, but I just wanted to get y'all's opinion on that.
You know, you hit the nail on the head with that because I had a conversation after the fight with somebody that's really deep in the boxing industry, and I don't want to say any names, man,
Don't
but
name drop. Don't.
we talked, and this person thought the same thing. They thought that Reese was just like, come on,
Yeah, he was
come on, Ronnie,
trying so hard.
giving him,
Yeah.
you know, trying to give him chance after chance, but that may have affected Ronnie even more, man. That may have even hurt him a little bit more. I know sometimes you want these fighters to come through, and you know, you've seen them, you've watched them grow up and come up through the ranks, and you're thinking in the back of the mind, they can do it. One more round.
Yeah.
Right.
One more round.
One more round.
But as a referee, friend or not, you have to do what's best for that fighter.
That's right.
And the same thing with the corner. Same thing with the corner. Sometimes you have blinders on, and you know what your fighter can do, so you just keep thinking, man, it's kind of like, you know, a gambler at a blackjack table. On the next hand, man.
One more.
One more hand.
Yeah,
Keep it coming.
One
more
more.
hand.
Keep it coming.
Light bill, gas bill, card note, everything going on table. One more, one more, one more. Your girl's at home ready to kill you.
And then you're
done.
gone.
Yeah, and that's it.
And then you're
Yeah,
done.
They spend out. What do you think maybe the corner could have jumped in? What do you guys think?
I think they could have,
Looking at
but
the
like,
corner?
you know, Ronnie, he's a warrior. Like,
Yeah,
you
Ronnie
know,
wouldn't go
I
over
think
the
if being a referee, especially, and Jack Reese is a pro,
Yeah.
like, you're always going to get criticism for any type of stoppage that
Absolutely.
you make. There's always going to be people who don't like it. There's always going to be people who agreed with it. It just comes with the nature of the game, but you just kind of have to be able to get in your moment with your training and be like, nah, this is it.
Yeah.
And I could see that. I agree with you where he probably could have stopped it earlier.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's like, well, you know,
He just might. He
He
might.
hesitated.
You know, he just might. And then one time he stopped it where there was no headbutt. He kind of jumped in and said, "Is your head okay?" You know, he kind of like,
Yeah.
"Is the head okay, Ronnie?" And if you guys notice, I don't know if they did it in the Ronnie fight. It might have been in the Mari fight. You know, we had all that controversy with Wilder getting those extra seconds at the start of the next round. They did that like over 2 to 3 fights I saw this weekend where a hurt fighter came out for the next round and they actually sent him over to the doctor before he came out. So maybe that wasn't as controversial as we thought it was with
Right.
Wilder. last
Now,
week.
let me jump into that Wilder thing real quick.
Go ahead, man.
Okay, so from what I gather now, and this is some information that I should have said last week, I'd forgot. The New York State Athletic Commission was sued for like $300 million for one of their fighters that got hurt. They didn't send him to the doctor, to the hospital right after the fight. He ended up in a coma. You know, it was pretty bad. So the family, they sued him for $300 million. So now, anybody that holds a fight there in New York, any type of promotional company that holds a fight there, whether it's UFC, whether it's boxing, whatever it is,
combat sports.
combat sports,
Yeah.
they have to have a $10 million insurance bond.
Whoa.
So it's up to the referee whether there's a cut or not. If they see that somebody's taking an accumulation of punches, to check them out in between rounds. Now, that's in between rounds.
Yeah, okay, I see.
So to me, I think they could have got in between rounds and checked on Wilder. I know the corner was working on him, but that's when they should have checked him. They shouldn't have called time after that bell for him to come out in that 8th round and to stop to look at him. You do it in between rounds.
Yeah.
You bring the doctor in and you look at him in between rounds. You don't give him that extra time. Now, I could understand that, oh, we made a mistake. The referee didn't call the doctor to check him out, so now he's got to do it. But, I think those few extra seconds gave Wilder his wits back. He was able to get that extra breath. And
I think it was like 10 seconds because I told myself I'm going to go count it. I just went back and watched it.
Yeah.
I think it was like 10, but every second does count.
And then I don't know if you paid attention during the commentators, but Paulie
he was
Malignaggi
upset
called it out.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
upset.
Even while in real time when it was happening, he was like, what's going on here? He was like, no, you can't be doing that. He has no cut.
Yeah, he said-
Paulie called.
Yeah.
Hey, Paulie's no joke, man.
Yeah.
He'll put it out
Yeah,
there
he
like he's
did.
real,
Yeah.
man.
He said you can't do that. That gives him extra time to recover. You can't do that.
Yeah,
He called it.
yeah.
He did call it.
I when I was watching the fight, I wasn't even really paying attention to
Yeah.
that because I was just like, let's just get this round
Yeah,
going.
I just like, come on,
Because
come
I
on.
was,
Yeah,
it was getting good.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until later, it went on social media, and then I saw the what he said, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh wow, that went completely over my head.
They did that in a few fights this weekend too, though. It was weird. I don't know if that's something new they're doing because I did see it a couple of times this weekend.
Yeah. And then you had the Oscar Valdez fight. Man.
Yeah.
Oscar Valdez at the StubHub Center.
Warriors ground over there,
right.
man.
That's
Just
right.
The War Grounds.
War
Always
ground.
in the rain. Doing
In
it
the
in the rain.
rain.
Doing
In
it in
the
the rain.
rain.
Yes.
The
They
first
were rain dancing.
the first four fights, 4 knockouts, they were rain dancing.
I tried to get past. That was good though. Good
This
look. I like
guy.
it. I like it. I like it.
You had the first 4 fights, man. I kind of sat there and watched them, and I think all of them finished within 30 seconds. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
this is some great matchmaking
Just
going on.
dropping them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, in the co-main event, you had what I thought was going to be the fight of the night, and I thought it was going to have more action than it actually did. You had Andy Vences from San Jose, California, going up against Eric De Leon. Eric De Leon, an undefeated fighter. Like they were saying, he's probably one of the last proteges that Emmanuel Stewart had coming out of
Right.
Yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Rest
Two
in
tough
peace.
guys.
R.I.P. Emmanuel Stewart.
And those guys, it was a chess match. Vences stayed on the outside. He used his jab. He tried to keep De Leon at bay. De Leon would come in, and it kind of went back and forth. The fight ended up a majority draw. Vences won that 10th round on all 3 of the judges' scorecards.
Right.
And that's what gave him the draw because
Yeah.
he was down on the cards. I actually had Vences winning, but I guess that's how you look at it, man.
It was a close fight. It was very
It
competitive.
was kind of it was one of those fights that if you watched it back tomorrow, you might change your decision on it. It was that kind of fight to me.
Yeah, and I'm more of a boxing aficionado, so I like to see them throw the
Yeah.
punches. I like to see the skill. I like the
Science behind it.
the
The
science.
sweet
Yeah,
science.
yeah.
the Mayweather. Now, don't get me wrong, man. I love to sit down and watch a Chocolatito
Yeah.
or
A
somebody
war.
like that, a war go at
war.
it.
Yeah.
But it takes a special type of boxer to have that skill, to hit and not get hit. That's what boxing's
Say it
about.
again, Stack. Say it
Yeah.
again.
So it was a good fight.
Mhm.
They'll probably run it back sometime.
Yeah.
And you got two young top ranked prospects there they'll be making some noise at 35 pretty soon.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
We move on to the main event.
Man.
Shout out to Oscar Valdez,
Shout out to
Stub-
Oscar Valdez.
StubHub never fails.
the champ. That's right.
Never fails
We had
with
some weight
StubHub.
issues, right?
And
Then we
some,
have some weight issues going
Guru
into that fight.
commenting again, talking about Oscar Unvictor Ortiz Valdez.
Hey,
Guru
Sal.
got it going today. I like that.
Savage Sal.
Mr. Boxing Guru has one of the most prevalent opinions in the
That's
sport.
right. Get him, boxing girl.
He really does. He's all over the place.
Get him,
man.
bro.
Man, if my jaw would have been broke like that, and I would have been swallowing blood and spitting out blood like that.
Oh my goodness.
And you see photos like, oh man,
His
like,
teeth knocked out, his bottom teeth knocked out. Okay, so if you didn't catch the fight last night, we had a 10-round bout between Scott Quigg from the United Kingdom coming into LA to Oscar Valdez's backyard.
Yeah.
Valdez is the champ at featherweight. It was a championship fight, but Quigg couldn't win it because he came in 2.5 pounds over.
Almost 3 pounds overweight.
Almost 3 pounds overweight.
Before we go deeper into that, when did he get here from London over there? Do you
Didn't he
know?
come late?
I'm not for sure, but what they were saying after it is that he didn't make the weight because he had a stress fracture in his foot. So he couldn't get on the treadmill. He couldn't do as much road work as he wanted to, and he was having trouble making the weight because of a stress fracture in his foot. So for the first 2 rounds, Valdez had him, man. This guy looked like a big old sloth in there. He was slow.
I thought it was going to be early.
He was barely moving around. Valdez was doing what he was supposed to, going to the body, you know, hitting him with quick combinations. And Valdez looked good until the third round.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the weight had a lot to do with it because last night, the night of the fight, Quick weighed in at 142.6 pounds.
Right.
Junior welterweight.
And Valdez at 135. So Valdez moved up 9 pounds. Quig moved up, if I'm doing the math right, about 16 and a half pounds.
Just under 20 pounds. Almost 20 pounds.
Almost 20 pounds
So that shows
overnight.
you how much he was trying to drain himself to get to that weight because he popped back like that.
Yeah, so, you know, I think the weight advantage helped him to take those shots.
Mm-hmm.
And he caught Valdez with a vicious left and then put 2 more on him and broke his jaw. They couldn't stop
Man.
the bleeding. He was just bleeding and bleeding and bleeding.
They couldn't stop it. I thought they were going to stop the fight.
Yeah, I thought it was going to get stopped.
Yeah.
It's a wonder that the commission didn't step in
Yeah.
because they were refusing to take his mouthpiece out
Yeah.
between rounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not knowing what was wrong. I know the announcers they were in the corner and they at first said, no, it's not a broken jaw. He just bit his tongue.
Right.
He just bit his tongue. He just bit his tongue. But even then, to be losing the amount of blood that he was losing, I mean, there was blood everywhere.
And you can also talk about, like, just like in the Ronnie Rios fight, like,
Yeah. What was the right thing
like,
to
what was
do?
the right
Yeah.
thing to do? Should have been stopped or, you know, because it was bad. I mean, hey, he came out and he won the fight, but, like, you know, what if it could have been worse?
Yeah, then in the 7th round, you know, Valdez actually, you know, he came back and he got Quig and broke Quig's nose.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
ugly
he
like
came
that.
back. He's like, all right, man, I'm going to break something on you.
So it's the StubHub Center, man.
It brings it out.
And shout out to all the fans that were out there
yeah.
in the
In
rain.
the
In
rain.
the rain. Yeah.
In the
that's
rain.
real boxing heads.
I'm
right
not going to lie. I sat back and watched it from home, man. I made me some food, kicked up my feet on the recliner.
My
Turned
man
on the
talking
sur-
about food
turned
a
on the
lot
s-
today.
Turned on the
I'm
surround
hungry.
sound, man. And I watched the fights from. I wasn't about to be out there in the rain, man. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Nah, I
I
couldn't
It
mean,
was,
believe
was
Yeah.
wet
so to the
everywhere.
media that was out there, man,
Shout
I give
out,
you
yeah.
guys kudos. Shout out to the media that was out there in the rain. To the fans, were you out there tailgating, Guru?
Were you
Man, 'cause
tailgating?
I didn't see Tom Loafer out there with you last night, man. But
Something's going on. But I
Yeah.
think we need to really point out this is something like really everybody checking this out. We talk about it all the time. That's why I have so much respect for boxers, combat sports, because we always say we talk about it. We're just here now going, oh man, his jaw was broken. His jaw was broken. If somebody hits you and your junk was turned like this and then it's back here, they put your jaw on this side of your face, and then you have to go back out and get hit in that same jaw
Yeah.
in the amount of blood, and then he turns around and breaks the other guy's nose.
Oh,
That's
man.
what I mean why I call fighters modern day superheroes. They do stuff a lot of us couldn't do. Because, I mean, I feel tough, but if you turn my stuff this way, I might go home. I might be done.
I'm in the car crying.
I
bro.
might be like, that's enough. I think I'm ready to go home. My stuff is turned this way now. I want to go home. I got to edge up my beard.
Yeah, your
like
face
this
is going
and
that way,
something.
but your body's going
Yeah,
this
it's just I might go to the house right then. So these guys are like modern day. When I was watching that, I was like, it's just a rare amount of people on planet Earth that would do that. You know, that was some crazy stuff. Like if you like rock'em sock'em that kind
Oh,
of boxing,
man.
you got your wish. It was almost brutal to me. I was like, ugh, it was hard for me to
So-
watch.
And after 12, you know, Valdez did come away with the unanimous decision
Yeah.
victory by the scores of 118 to 110 and 117, 111 twice. According to CompuBox numbers, Valdez landed 238 of 914 punches.
I was
so
like, whoa,
not 1900, 914 punches.
Letting them fly.
So he did throw almost 1,000 punches and landed 25% of his punches. So he did good, man. I just don't know what's next for him now. He's definitely going to have to take a couple voluntary defenses
Yeah.
and let that jaw work out.
Yeah.
I mean, this is of course this is a whole issue with like people saying like tune-up fights or easy fights
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like, people say, oh, you shouldn't when you're a world champion and stuff like that. I mean, there's truth to that, but then like there's stuff like this. Valdez has been in some wars, man,
Yeah.
like in back to back to back, and
I think he needs
you know,
a cab
d-
driver.
does
I'm
he
just keeping-
deserve
Yeah.
a tune-up fight as a
think he
world
does.
champion? Like that's always going to be a
Valdez-
long-standing issue.
Valdez took Quig as a voluntary defense.
That's
It wasn't a mandatory,
That's
man.
right. That's right. Yeah.
So to bring somebody like Quig, who's only lost a split decision to Frampton,
yeah,
who's a former world champion
huge.
that moved
That's
up,
what I'm saying.
that moved up from
And
super bantamweight.
I thought
Come on, man.
I thought Quig was probably going to pull it off
Yeah.
too.
I thought Quig had Frampton.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Quig and Frampton, you can go either way with that fight. You know, it was a split decision, I think.
So Quig, he's gonna make some noise in the featherweight too, moving up to 26, and featherweights, it's solid, man.
Yeah.
See what happens with Leo and Abner in a couple months. They fight in June. You got Hopefully Gary Russell Jr. and
Come on,
JoJo
Gary.
Diaz in May.
Come on, Gary.
Well,
Come
you-
on, Gary. Let's make the fight,
Come
Gary.
on,
Come
Gary.
on. Come on, Gary. I'm
Man,
gonna say it again. Come on, Gary.
If anybody's friends with Gary Russell on Facebook, man, if you guys are listening, you're friends with him, man, tag him in this post and tell him get to signing the damn contract
That's
already.
it, man. Say it again. Tag him and put the camera right.
Hey,
Come on, Gary.
Imagine that though being the
We're waiting.
being the co-main of Canelo
Oh,
Canelo
man, that
Triple
would be a
G2.
great fight. You know what? That would be great. If JoJo, if that could be the, and it would be good for both fighters. It would be great for JoJo and Gary too, to
Yeah.
get that exposure. That would be the fight. Yeah, that would be a great fight.
Mm.
One more time.
That,
Come on,
that
Gary.
fight deserves to be on a card like that too.
All
Just
right.
do it like that.
So we are now at the half-hour mark of our show.
It goes so fast.
I'm
30
Anthony
minutes.
Stack Saldana, and I'm here with Amazing Eric and Danny Z
We're all back
We
once
all back,
again every
Still
week.
here.
every week.
Still here. We got big things to talk about coming up. We still got Mikey Garcia left to talk about. We got to talk about the main man, Mikey.
And let's talk about
San
that, man.
Antonio, Texas.
Let's get into Mikey.
I got to get into one of my favorite
I'm
fighters.
glad Texas got that fight.
Yeah, they deserve that.
You know,
And-
they got
yeah.
some good fans over there, and they're
You-
big boxing
You have
state.
Jesse James Lehi out there that's
Yeah.
doing a lot of big promotions out there in San Antonio. I seen pictures of the world champion Paul Banky out
Uh-oh.
there in San
the
Antonio.
world
The
champion,
champ.
World
Paul
champion
the
Paul Banky.
champ. The
Man,
champ.
Paul Banky. What's up, Paul Banky? I know
What's
you're probably not listening in Texas,
the
but if
world
you are,
champion.
what's going on, man?
That's
So they
it.
were all out there last night.
Yeah, great
You
fight
know,
town.
good
San Antonio is a
fights.
great fight town.
And, you know, it started off with a rematch of a fight that had happened last year
Mm-hmm.
between Rances Bartholomew
Yeah.
and
Say his name. Get us
Vin-
right.
Vin- Vince's
Rakalik.
I don't want to
something
try.
like
Man.
VR.
No, it's not a VR.
Vince's. It's like those Russian names we've been saying for
Yeah.
weeks.
Cairo Ralik, man. I'm just going
Relic.
to say it like
Never
that.
mind.
Relic.
Cairo
That's how you say it.
Relic,
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah, Relic.
It's like those Russian names that we keep saying
Yeah,
all the
I
last
just don't
couple
wanna
weeks.
say
We're
it
like, you know what?
wrong.
We're just gonna say the Russian cat.
And it
I
was
just hate saying it wrong.
it was the first fight. It was a rematch of a fight that happened last
Mhm.
year, and in this fight, the Russian just came out and outboxed him. I mean, just completely outboxed him
Every round.
every single round. And
Every
then
round.
at the 7th round, Bartholomew kind of stopped throwing punches, and the only punches
Yeah.
he was throwing was low blows.
Yeah,
All he threw was intentional low blows.
Andrew Gallardo.
They
I think
took
he
they
was
took
getting
a
stressed. man.
Yeah.
they took a point away from him in the 7th round, and they could have continued to take more points from him, but he just kept throwing low blows.
You
Congratulations.
think he was trying to get out of it? Some
Yeah,
people,
I think he was
had
trying
the
to get out
feeling
of
when
it.
I was watching. I'm like, are you trying to get the DQ here? Because just to keep going down there, makes me wonder, was he trying to get
Now look at these numbers here. Listen to these numbers. Bartholomew threw 494 punches, landed 137. Ralick threw 1,237 punches.
letting them fly?
1,237 punches?
Letting
That's
them fly.
over.
That's a lot.
That's over 100 a round.
That's prime Manny Pacquiao type of work rate.
Man,
Great analogy.
Yeah.
I
Thank you, man. I appreciate
I can't
it.
even imagine trying to throw 100 punches, man.
Imagine that stamina that you
Oh
need to
my
have
God.
for something like that.
Just to let him-
That's just 100. 1,200? Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, he's pumping them out there. That fight wasn't even. That fight was over after six. You kind of felt like you were watching a replay of the same round over and over again. I almost kind of was ready for it to be because I was so excited for Mikey. So I was just kind of like, get him out or go ahead and call a DQ and get him
Yeah.
out of here because it was that kind of fight for me.
Bartholomew just seemed like he couldn't just let it go.
He just
Yeah.
was stuck.
Like
Something was
he-
wrong.
yeah.
So, you know, I know people, and let's go ahead and get into Mikey.
Let's talk about.
Let's
Mikey
talk about
Garcia.
Mikey, and then I'll give you my thoughts on the Russian guy, Ralick. So, Mikey Garcia, okay, 3-division world champion in Texas, going up against Sergey Lipinets for his 4th division world title.
140 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
It was a historic fight.
Yeah.
It had only been done by 2 fighters in the past, by Juan Manuel Marquez and Manny Pacquiao, that a fighter had held titles at featherweight, super featherweight, lightweight, and now super lightweight.
Big deal.
Big deal.
Huge.
One
Big
of
deal.
only 17 fighters ever to hold at least titles in 4 different divisions.
Huge.
You know, and Mikey went in there, and I think the fight was a little bit tougher than he thought it was going to be.
But he said that though even before leading up to the fight and interviews and fight week interviews and everything because people were counting Lipinets out. You know, he's not really a known name. He's a world champion, but people weren't like Mikey's got a lot of hype behind him and you know for good cause like because he could fight. And even Mikey was saying in interviews like, no, this guy can fight.
Yeah.
Like you know you guys shouldn't be counting him out. Like you know I'm gonna try to beat him, but he could fight, and he showed it.
He stood there and he took Mikey's best shots.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they traded Mikey boxed for the most part. Mikey boxed a beautiful fight, very technical. He used his skill, he used experience to outbox him. But there was times that he tried to go in there and exchange, thinking he was going to get Lipinets out of there, and that didn't happen.
No, Lipinets stood strong. And one thing, we talked about it early in the week, and we made videos about it, and we were talking about this is the quintessential trap fight for Mikey, how he could have fallen into this trap and talking about everybody else. But I listened to Robert, and one thing about Mikey and Robert, they are always on point. It is so hard to catch those guys slipping because Robert even had a very healthy amount of respect for Buddy McGirt. Like, he knew that Lipinets was going to come ready. He knew his trainer was going to come ready. And just like you said, Danny Z, when I was hearing Mikey, it's almost like Mikey knew he was going to be in for it. He knew that this guy was going to come in. But I'm going to keep it real. I knew Lipinets was going to be a tough fight for Mikey. I knew I knew he was going to struggle more in that fight than he did against Bronner. Right. But I didn't think Lipinets was going to push it. Lipinets was better than I thought he was. Head movement.
In the middle of the second round, he caught Mikey with a hard left hook.
Oh, my gosh. I remember
that
shot.
Busted Mikey's nose.
Right on the tip of the nose.
And I didn't know if his nose was broken or not because in the third round, Mikey was leaking. His whole body was full of blood. I mean, he was leaking. So I was thinking that he might have broken Mikey's nose, you know. And
there was a lot of blood this weekend.
There was a
bloody weekend.
There was a lot of blood. You know, Mikey, he adjusted. He stayed on the outside. He led with that jab and followed up with good combinations. You know, Lipinets really couldn't get inside. When he did catch Mikey quite a few times. But Mikey was always one step ahead.
Always.
He was always one step ahead. At the end of the sixth, okay, Buddy McGirt is giving instructions because I'm watching it on TV. So he starts giving instructions to Lipinets, and he's telling Lipinets, stop trying to fight with him and start using your jab.
Yeah.
Right. And I told Cynthia, I told my wife, I said, hey, that's a bad move. And I said, I tell you why. He's tired, and it's going to be the same thing that happened to Brandon Rios, man. He's just going to throw a lazy jab out there.
Coming over.
And Mikey's going to counter him and put him on his ass.
Yeah. It's like autopilot, and you're just kind of cruising.
And sure enough, man, he stuck a little jab out there, and he followed it up with like a baby uppercut.
Yeah.
And it was a slow baby uppercut from too far away, and Mikey came over the top with that left and just laid him out, man. And Lipinets beat the count.
Yeah.
But that was the last time he did that in the fight.
Yeah, he didn't do that.
First time in his career too. He hits the canvas.
Time getting dropped. That was big for Mikey because even moving up in weight, he was the first guy to drop him. But if you look at Mikey, and even like you said, you were telling Cynthia, shout out to Cynthia. You said you were telling Cynthia about that. If once those guys get tired, that's a very great point you make because their jab is not popping anymore because now they're tired. And Lipinets was also making a fundamental mistake there to me where he kind of same thing my man Ronnie Rios was doing. He kept laying over to his right.
Right.
He was laying over to his right. And when you lay over to your right and you have a sharp fighter in front of you, if you notice in the first rounds, Mikey was shooting that right hand like right over Lipinets' head, like right over. Mikey's so sharp. He adjusted and he started getting that full extension. So Mikey started actually, when he would throw his 1-2, he was throwing his right hand to a spot. He almost wasn't even throwing it because he knew Lipinets was going to lean down. Yeah. And about, third,
it was all positioning.
Round, yeah, Mikey had him timed. He was landing that 1-2. I can't believe Lipinets took all those flush, straight right hands. He has a great chance.
So at 40, you have Mikey.
Mm-hmm.
You now have Regis Porgrace, who
is
the
interim. Yeah, he beat up Ndongo this weekend.
Yeah,
man. He didn't beat him. He
just
demolished
beat him up, knocked him across the ring.
Got this Kylie Rauch guy from Russia.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't necessarily think that Mikey has to move to 35 to unify, especially if Linares is going to be fighting Lomachenko on May 12th.
And we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But, I agree with you. But I think Mikey is the type of guy that's like, well, okay, he has the title at 135 and 140. And he at least wants to defend, the title, one more at 135 and try to at least get one of the big names.
Yeah. Didn't he say that's what he wanted to do after the fight? He said, well, I really would like to go. I think
he said he still wants to do 135.
If he fights at 35 this year, the only fight for me that possibly could be made is a fight with Robert Easter Jr.,
who was there last night.
That's it.
Yeah, if he doesn't get Loma, Linares, then you have to get Robert Easter.
Bob Arum sure in the hell isn't going to give Beltran.
Oh no,
of course not.
He's going to feed. He's going to feed.
He's going to feed him
Lomachenko.
He's going to feed him Lomachenko.
He's going to give him long. He won't give him Beltran.
So you have Linares and Lomachenko in the works. So the only fight that I see happening for Mikey right now at 35 is Robert Easter sometime in the summer.
Because Robert has, which strap does Robert have?
I think it's the
IBF.
IBF, yeah. And
IBF.
so I think that would be a good unification fight. I know people tend to view Robert Easter as Adrian Broner's little brother, but I've been telling people if you watch this, he would I think he would give Mikey a lot better fight than
He's
Adrian.
tall.
Yeah, he's tall. He's more
He's
active.
tall. He's
He'll
got
let
that
his hands
length.
glow.
And even
go.
even Mikey said that, and Robert Garcia said that. Like, no, man, he's tall. Like he can give us problems.
But some people think, well, since he did that to Broner, that's Broner's little brother. Don't look at it like that.
Well, we'll see what happens though, because also on that card you had Richard Comey fighting Alejandro Charlo Luna, undefeated prospect out of East LA, and Comey knocked him out, and he is now, they're saying, the mandatory for Easter because they've already fought.
Right. A fight of the year type of fight. Comey and Easter had that was a very good fight. It was like one of those.
We'll see. I mean, I could see though the IBF mandating, just because of the money,
right,
mandating that fight with Garcia and Robert Easter Jr.
I honestly think that might happen.
Yeah.
I don't think Mikey's gonna get Lomachenko or Linares at 135.
Yeah.
I don't think he is. I think he knows, like, okay, well, I have to get Easter. He gets Easter, and if he wins or if he loses, he's gonna move up to 40 and stay at 40.
Yeah, I don't see him losing to Easter. I see a great fight, but I don't think. I just think his skills and his experience is a little bit too much for Easter, and I think him fighting the last couple fights at 140 pounds has helped him.
Is Mikey's big money fight? Because you look at these fighters. Because we look at Mikey Garcia, and this is the interesting thing for everybody who's a Mikey Garcia fan. You look at Mikey Garcia, and I'm wondering what's going to take Mikey from this great fighter that us boxing heads all know. And he's starting to grow, but what is it going to take for Mikey to become that star? Because I think he has the potential to do that. But is it the Lomachenko fight? Is that what you guys think?
You need an opponent.
He needs
It's
that.
just like anybody. Like, okay, going back to the most recent example, Pacquiao, Mayweather, Canelo, Triple G.
Yeah.
You need that other opponent across the ring from you that has people talking about both sides. Like, oh, I want to see that fight, and
That's
it transcends not just the boxing world, but it goes into the sports world.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what helps you become a way bigger star.
And
You need that formidable opponent on the other side.
Do either one of you see Garcia eventually moving to 47 and maybe becoming a five-division world champion?
I think that's too big for him.
I don't like him at 147. I'm a Mikey fan. If I look at the Thurmans and the Earl Spences and
Because even though he beat Lipinets this past Saturday, like Lipinets gave him problems. And
he needs to start with Danny Garcia. I think if he's
Mikey's
start.
power, I don't think he's going to carry his power.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
the power he has to 47.
Mikey has a heart, and he can fight. He's natural.
Yeah.
And if he did it, then he's going to be he's going to be able to adapt at least to an extent. But I don't know. I don't like it.
I don't like him with those really athletic bangers up there. Like if he gets, like I said, if he gets Danny Garcia,
he knocks Danny Garcia out.
I think that's the fight for him. Because see, even like Floyd Mayweather would say this: if you're going to move up in weight, you have to move up for the right. He needs to move up for the right welterweight. Don't just jump up and like a.
You got to be
Keith Thurman.
calculated.
Yeah, you got to. Danny Garcia. If you look at the style of that fight with the looping punches and Mikey's, I think he has a real good shot against Danny Garcia. But I wouldn't Earl Spence, and I wouldn't. But you never can count Mikey out. Mikey's so good.
And Mikey.
Yeah,
and Mikey said he would fight Earl Spence here on the SoCal Boxing Report.
Right here, he said that. So he's a warrior. But me personally, being a fan of Mikey, I would like to see him get the Lomachenko fight. That's the fight I really want for him. And do you guys think
I don't think that's
going to
happen anytime soon?
I don't either. Would they meet at a catch weight somewhere between, or do you think Loma would go up to 140?
No, it would have to be at 35.
Yeah,
I don't see it. I don't see it at a catch weight.
Yeah. It's not going to be a catch weight either. So that's what I think for Mikey. But I was wondering what makes because even Canelo, you mentioned Canelo and Triple G. Canelo, even a loss, the Canelo and Floyd loss actually put Canelo on the map though. Being in that big spotlight, and then you lose to Floyd Mayweather. Okay, 50 times.
Yeah.
So what?
Your only loss on your record out of fighting almost 50 times
Floyd
is against
Mayweather?
Floyd Mayweather.
Okay.
So I don't think that's and he was a young guy, and they
Too many
blamed
people
him.
are worried about that. Oh man,
That's
Too
still left
many
over from the
people.
Floyd Mayweather.
It is, man.
school.
But I mean, what are you supposed to do? It's
Floyd did it. I think Benito Lopez was like 51-0,
Yeah.
52-0.
Rocky
There's
Marciano was
some
49.
the discrepancies on Julio Cesar Chavez is 89-0.
Yeah.
But they're few and far between.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to bring boxing back. I think we need guys wanting to fight each other, willing to take that L.
Sometimes a loss isn't bad, man. Like this loss for Lipinets, man,
No, it's not bad at all.
was not bad. He's going to continue to get big fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll fight again for a world title.
There's some big matchups that can be made with Lipinets.
Oh yeah.
And Canelo's loss to Mayweather wasn't bad for his
No.
career. Losses aren't. The Triple G Canelo fight, I think, like you said, I think that one scorecard really, really messed that one up. But, even if whoever loses the next fight, if they fight close, I don't think it'll be. See, people now, because of social media, and then you have this group of fans that want to talk smack to this group of fans, it feels like if you lose, that's the end of your career. So it's like if Triple G or Canelo, that's why I think the fighters don't want to fight each other, because it seems like Danny Garcia don't want to take the chance with Earl Spence because everybody's going to talk about me if I lose. But I think we need to get to where we celebrate guys just for willing to be in the ring and fight each other. That's huge.
And it all depends on who you're fighting and the type of loss that you take,
There
man.
it is. There it
If
is.
it's a close, even if you're knocked out, man. Luis Ortiz, for instance.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
40 years old, but he still got it, man.
Yeah.
He
You put him
made
in there with
someone.
Parker. You put him in there with Joshua. You
I think
put him in there
Ortiz
with one
would
of the
beat
big names.
like
Me too.
Parker
Yeah.
and give Joshua problems.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're relevant still.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you get in there against a B level opponent
Mm-hmm.
and you get beat up and you look like crap. You have trouble making weight.
Yeah, that's bad.
You're not fighting good. You get outclassed. You get outboxed.
Yeah, that's bad.
And that fire's not, you don't have that fire anymore. And a lot of times you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you have to start making the decisions. Just because you have a loss doesn't necessarily mean
Yeah, it's how
anything,
you go out.
you
It's
know,
how
it-
you go out. And if you're willing to step up and fight that guy, if you lose to that guy, at least you were man enough to step up and fight that guy.
I mean,
Right.
you look at some of these fighters like Jesus Soto Caras, man. I mean,
yeah.
Adrian Granados out of Chicago, man.
Right.
This
Yep,
kid
yep.
has been in there with he beat him up.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in there with some tough characters, man. And from the Imam fight, he fought Bronner and he's fought other people,
Yeah.
so he's getting paid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's giving these guys tough fights.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't necessarily mean he's an A-level fighter, but he has that chance to shock anybody on any given
night.
day.
Any
Right.
night. And I think that's a different. Some people call those gatekeeper type of fighters, but I
Right.
think there's a career right there. Adrian Granados has a very successful boxing career, and
Yeah.
when your matchmaker signs you with him, you better bring your A game if you
Right.
want to beat him. You know that about him. So
Yeah, he's not a tune-up fight.
He's
He'll
not-
gi-
he's
he'll
not
give
a
you
tune-up.
he'll
Yeah.
give you a competitive fight.
he's not a tune-up at all. Yeah. So that's
Yeah, so there's a lot of big names out there, man. I mean, for instance, Danny Roman.
Mm-hmm.
2 losses early in his career out here in Thompson Boxing. But that was 10, 12 years ago.
Look
And
at where,
he learned
look at
from
where
it.
he's at now.
Yeah.
He's a world champion, man.
That's right. You can keep coming back from that.
So
it's-
you can keep coming back. I mean, if you're a fighter out there, don't let that out keep you down, man.
talk to him, Stack.
If you're
Talk to 'em.
undefeated, and you're going up
Preach.
against a quality opponent, and you take an L, keep your head up.
Mm.
It's gonna be okay, man. You're there for a reason. You're fighting these fights for a reason, because somebody has allowed you to get in the ring with a quality opponent.
That's right.
They're not gonna put a quality opponent in there against a D-level fighter when he's already at the top of his game.
Mm-hmm.
So when Canelo fought Floyd, it's not like Canelo was somebody just out of
He wasn't a cab
Mexico.
driver. He just wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, he was a real legit.
he was
fighter.
a legit
Yeah.
fighter.
That's right.
And people can say, "Oh, Canelo was too young and this and that," but you know what?
You got to give him the
It
credit
was
for
a-
wanting to
it
step
was
in
a
there.
learning
That
experience,
was a good fight for Canelo.
and that loss hasn't hurt him.
Not at
No,
all.
it made him a bigger star.
Exactly.
That's right. That was a good loss for Canelo. And my man,
Because you can tell that he learned from
He
those
did.
mistakes and from that fight. He was
he's been
just
better
like,
since
you know,
the fight.
like
He's absolutely been better. Did you Stacks? You hear Danny Stacks was preaching on a Sunday. It's Sunday. He might as well do it.
the
But no,
the boxing church of Stacks,
The preaching
open on
Reverend-
Sundays from 3 to 4 p.m.
I love it though, because that's real talk. Because so
Come
many
get your
fighters-
gospel.
Yeah, they're so caught
The
up in
boxing
this
gospel.
Mayweather thing. You know the song they sing, the UK fan. There's only one. Whoever there is, only
Yeah.
one. They should make a song. There's only one Floyd Mayweather. You're not going to be Floyd. He is such an anomaly. You are not going to do your boxing career like that. It's not going to happen. It's like, and these guys are trying to pattern themselves after that, and it's just not going to happen.
He hit
again.
the sport at the right time
just
because the
everything
internet
lined
was
up.
blowing up,
Yeah,
and he sold his personality,
Yeah.
and he can also fight.
yeah.
He hit it at the perfect time.
Perfect time.
And
Perfect matchmaking.
Yep.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
knew when to bring these fighters in.
Exactly.
He knew exactly how to. He had the blueprint, like he
Yeah,
says. I
man.
had the blueprint.
It was perfect storm.
Played a trick on
did it.
everybody because he plays this trick of he played this trick almost like he was. I'm not trying to bash Broner, but like, oh, I'm just this party guy, but he stays within 5 to 10 pounds of his weight all year round. So it's almost
Yeah.
like he's a lot more dedicated than he showed, and it shows. So he dedicated himself. He played the villain right. Stopped trying to be Floyd. Floyd, he's retired unless he goes in the cage and fights Conor, which he's not going to do
Man,
that.
That's
But-
a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, we can do that on another day. But the new fighters, be yourself. Don't try to be a new Mayweather. We've had that. It was fun. Thank you. So
Next Saturday night, Big fight in New York. It's St. Patty's Day.
Man, it's
St.
just big
Patty's
fight
Day.
after big fight. I love this, man.
Emir Imam
Coming back.
is going to be going up against Fresno's own Juan, what's his name? Carlos Ramirez. Jose Carlos Ramirez.
Ramirez.
Why am I calling him
Yeah, I
Juan
was like,
for?
where are you going with this?
When he said Juan,
Where
I'm
are you
like,
going with this?
Jose Ramirez. Jose Carlos Ramirez.
Top Rank's going to be pissed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, Top Rank.
That's Stacks.
Sorry. Yeah,
I called him Juan instead of Jose.
I was
Oops.
trying to see where you were going. I was like, where are you
No.
going here?
Jose
Going
Carlos,
somewhere?
Jose
He's
Carlos
still in
Ramirez.
preaching mode. He's still thinking about that preaching.
And
now.
Emir
He's
Imam
taking it off of-
on St. Patty's Day. Mick Conlan's going to be on the card. Big fight, not just for the WBC junior welterweight title, but it's the 2000th championship fight. So
For the
there's
WBC.
for the WBC, the 2000 championship fight.
2,000
big one.
fights.
That's crazy, right? I mean,
Wow.
Congratulations to
Yeah.
everybody at the WBC.
Shout out
to the
yeah.
Suleiman family, to Nancy
Yeah.
Rodriguez doing her thing out there, the PR that she does for the WBC.
2,000 fights, man.
Kudos.
That's huge.
2,000
You don't
That's
even
huge.
think it goes
And
by
the
like
WBC has done so much for boxing. We were, I was just talking about this the other day. From moving the fights after Dooku Kim had got killed by Boom Boom Mancini
Yeah.
from 15 to 12 rounds in the championship, to adding that fourth row to the bottom, to all the stuff they do with UCLA working on fighters' injuries. I mean, the list goes on and on for things that the WBC has implemented. Day before weigh-ins, 7-day weigh-ins, 30-day weigh-ins on
Yeah.
fighters, the VADA testing.
Yeah.
So
I think that 15 to 12 is big. It deserves repeating because, look at the fights we saw this weekend. Imagine if some of those, I think we would have more accidents in boxing, more horrible, if we were still going 15.
Right.
It's just,
it's the
big.
punishment they
It's
take.
too
And
much.
sometimes these fighters have too much heart for their own good.
Too much.
And
yeah.
their corners, like I said, sometimes their corners have blinders on.
Mhm.
So when they're taking this punishment, like I said, it's just they'll come back. They'll come back. And
You can ruin a fighter. You guys remember when James Kirkland was beating Glenn Tapia in that fight?
Yeah.
And they just wouldn't stop the fight. And that fight went 2 extra rounds. And Glenn Tapia now has just, I feel so he was promising. And after that, you can actually ruin your fighter if you don't stop the fight at the right time. It's like, you can
so
really do
big fights coming up. We also are gonna have a special guest. We're gonna have undefeated Golden Boy prospect Pablo the Shark Rubio in the studio with us
Pablo
next
Rubio.
week.
The Shark.
He is going to be fighting at the Belasco Theater April 6th, I believe.
Mhm.
So he is going to be there at the Belasco April 6th. Pablo and the whole
I'm glad the LA Fight Club series is back.
Oh, man,
Because
I'm
for a couple months, we thought, oh man, maybe it's not coming back.
Yeah.
there was some
I'm
issues
glad.
there with them and Estrella TV.
But yeah.
So I'm glad that got worked
Yeah,
out. The
I'm glad
fight
it got
cl-
sorted out.
the Belasco is a great place, man. If you're in Southern California, make sure to stop by the Belasco to check out the
It's in
fights.
downtown LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got shout out to 360 Boxing Promotions with their Hollywood Fight Club.
That starts when, next Tuesday?
I think so, sometime this month. And I forgot the exact date, but Tom Loeffler's 360 Boxing Promotions.
Yeah. That's
There's a lot of boxing in SoCal. It's a hotbed.
And since we're shouting out, let's shout out SoCal Boxing Report. Let's do this real quick because everybody listen to this with you on the radio. Follow us on social media. Go hit us up. Instagram. Find us on Facebook. Find us over on YouTube. We're getting ready to start bringing you guys a lot more content on the YouTube page. Shout it in. I'm sorry. I just had to throw SoCal
No,
Boxing
it's coming.
in
Yeah,
there.
and then the 22nd, next Thursday night, Golden Boy on ESPN series is back again, this time at Fantasy Springs Casino.
Yeah.
And it's headlined by Victorville's own Ryan Garcia, undefeated
Yeah.
Ryan
It's the main
Garcia.
event.
Yeah.
Main event.
Main event.
So I think Ryan's going to have one more fight. He's fighting Fernando Vargas.
Mm-hmm.
And then, not the Fernando Vargas, but
It is that Fernando Vargas.
A Fernando
El
Vargas.
Ferros.
Yeah.
El Ferros.
Yeah. El
He's
Ferros.
coming back out of retirement.
Yeah. El Ferros. Let me try to say it. You guys can. El Ferros. Did I do pretty good? How was that? Y'all like that? Don't get mad at me if I said
Tweet.
it wrong. I still love
Tweet at him.
My Blaxican.
it. That's it.
That's
El
right.
Ferros.
Yeah, so
I even got my disc jockey in the back laughing. I saw you laughing back there. Man.
So he's got a big fight coming up there at Fantasy Springs, and next week as well you have Sinisa Estrada headlining the card at the Belasco. So big fights. We're getting into the season where the StubHub's going to be
Jumping.
rocking.
Yeah, I love it.
You got big Southern California fighters getting ready to go back and forth with each other with Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Mares.
Mm-hmm.
PBC's doing their thing, Golden Boys doing their thing, Top Ranks doing their thing. So it's
Oh, and Abner Morris said, I know we were on the way. Abner Morris said on Showtime he's not gonna try to box. He said, I don't know if he's meaning that, but he said he's gonna stand there and let it go. So we'll see.
all right. And then also, we do have a car show coming up, okay? It's going to be at Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, and it's the 3rd annual car show, Saturday, April 14th, 2018. And the Lady of Guadalupe Church is located at 1430 West Street in San Bernardino, California. There's going to be Early registrations and prizes. The registration fees are $25 for cars and $20 for veterans, $15 for bikes. So make sure to go out and give them a
Do that.
give them a like, man. If you're not doing anything Saturday, April 14th, go by them a day, take the family, have some good food, listen to some good music. It's
You'll
Our
see
Lady
some
of
cool
Guadalupe.
cars there
Some
too.
cool
Shout
cars,
out to
man.
David Boogie over there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
David Boogie, shout out.
So this is for the Southern California Boxing Report. This is Anthony Stack Saldani with the amazing Eric and Danny Z. Until next week, thank you.
Hashtag bad meat.
Hashtag bad meat.
Hashtag bag meat. We out of here.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
Oh, with some question marks. I'm Dave Denholm of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Field is set. Virginia, Villanova, Kansas, Xavier, the number 1 seeds. Some question marks on the